我叫 Charlie 是讲武堂的一个工作人员。今天呢是非常有幸的，就是邀请到我们 Sharon 老师来跟我们分享职场东西。我大概先介绍 Sharon 老师，然后呢具体的由他自己来介绍Sharon 老师呢是 PPG 公司的全球的那个技术主管，然后是 Koppers 的那个董事然后呢 Sharon 老师呢老一辈了30年前呢就拿到了 MIT 的 PhD 想想那个时候多不容易那么谢任老师是现在已经是退休了他也很忙，那是被我请出来给大家分享一些东西。谢任老师呢是非常，他跟我讲他是非常非常的希望我们有更多的华人年轻一代的华人走到 C-suite， 他也非常愿意给大家分享跟大家分享。那么我在想讲武堂是一个什么样的一个定位我们大家都知道就是为什么有人炒股票他会赚钱，为什么有人投资房产他会赚钱，这个道理其实想一想谁都知道，其实是掌握了规律，对不对？那么还有我们说我们就在座的肯定都在职场上，那么我们为什么有的人在职场上顺风顺水，有的人呢就是每一到职场上就觉得就是有人跟他过不去非常非常艰难。为什么？实际上也是没掌握这个规律。职场真的是有职场的门道。刚才跟谢任老师聊天的时候我在想我就说我们生活中其实我们遇到的什么同乡会会长各个专业协会会长那个比较 easy。真的我们在生活中遇到一个就是说我们企业的非常有实力的、有影响力的、有 experience 的、讲得出门道的高管我是觉得真的是不太容易不太容易。那么讲武堂呢是希望我们找出这样的高手，我们已经找出了10位这样的高手来给大家分享职场的奥秘。那么这样子的话，大家就少走弯路，少去踩坑，只要掌握了这个规律我相信我们的职场的经历会比以前好很多好很多我就不多说了。那么下面呢，我们就请谢任老师来给我们讲讲课也就是说以后呢，我们少走点弯路，好吧？等谢任老师讲完以后呢，我再多来介绍一点点讲武堂的东西好，谢任老师 ，Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Charlie. Welcome, everyone. I really want to thank Elite Coach for giving me this opportunity to come tonight to spend some time with all of you. I know it's a Sunday evening. I really appreciate you take some time out from your family time, from your rest, to spend a few hours here, hopefully no more than 2 hours, to really explore what will make us more successful, more fulfilling in the workplace. And you saw myself, very much like yourself. I'm originally coming from Shanghai, China, and came here for graduate school. As Charlie already pointed, you know how old I am. I received my PhD 30 years ago. And so most of my career I spent in industry. Here are some of the companies I worked for. I worked for the longest for Bayer. This is a German company. I worked for Bayer for 16 years. I worked 4 years for Lanxess, which is also part of Bayer, and it was spun off during restructuring. So I worked for Lanxess for 4 years. And then I spent 6 years at the University of Chicago, really to build up their engineering program, the very first one. And then I spent the last 5 years at PPG. So I guess what I wanted to share is my career as a chemistry PhD is totally unexpected from my perspective. And when you have a PhD degree in STEM field, whether chemistry, whether physics, biology, most often you think you're going to do research for the rest of your life, right? Because that's how we taught what to do. So, but in reality, over my 30 years of industrial academic career, I had about 15, 16 different jobs. And a large portion of it is in R&D, no question about it. But I have had the fortune to try very different function rules, right? Like marketing, like business development, like safety, environment, protection, supply chain, you name it. So I think one more of the story is you're probably not going to do what you taught in or learned in graduate school for all the years in your career. You're going to have to be able to adapt, pivot to the areas that you can, as well, learning new things, but also add value. So that's one story. Then, of course, when you talk about success, I know everybody here wanted to hear about how to be successful in workplace. I guess we have to really define a little bit what it is success. Is it by making more money? Okay, no doubt. That's probably is one kind of success. Is it by having higher positions, impressive titles, has lots of people reporting to you? Is that defined as success? Or is that more measured by impact you make and by how fulfilled you feel every day at the end of the day? Are you feel you add value to people, to society? So I think I wanted to put this question out there because sometimes we are so narrowly focused on very slim slice of success, which is more money, high title, more people reporting to me. Okay, that is one success you can define as that, but those are all very superficial. So you really have to think deeper about what it is that mean to me and how did I actually add value? Okay, so we'll talk more about that later. So in the 30 years, I started as a scientist, like many of you do. And of course, your first quote-unquote management assignment is manager. And then, of course, you then become, we call manager of the managers. That's usually about director or senior group leader, depending on the company. And then from there, you go on to become VP, become senior VP, CEO. Ultimately, you get on board of directors, which is where CEO reports to, right? So that's a typical career ladder you all know. So I'm not telling you anything you don't know. But I did climb the whole thing, right? Sort of gone through every steps. But actually, just like Charlie said, it's not without struggle. Everybody gets somewhere, has to go through a certain struggle, a certain learning, a certain setbacks. So it's all, sometimes in my opinion, the success also comes as a combination of how prepared you are and luck at the right time, at the right place. But you have to be prepared. You can't just back on luck. Because when luck came, when there was a new position at the right time, you are in the right place. But if you're not prepared, it's all moot point. So we're going to talk a little bit about how you prepare yourself for that success you're looking for. So without further ado, that is just my sort of career in a nutshell. And so today I'm going to really use this title talk about the game. This game is the game of American corporation game of corporate America. How do you learn the rules of the game? 中国人叫潜规则, huh? Actually, it's unwritten rules of the game. And only when you learn the rules of the game, you can win the game, okay? So most of us coming through a very similar background of being educated and then got in good schools, got good grades, then you get good degrees, you sort of get a good job. But then the rest of the path seems kind of ambiguous. It's no longer clear what's the next. So I just wanted to share some of the learning. I want to put disclaimer out there as we were chatting before everybody come in. I have made a lot of mistakes, has gone through a lot of sort of wrong steps in my career. So And I collected a lot of learnings, and I'm going to share with you that just take to heart, you are different than me. So just because something worked for me, it doesn't always work for you. But you can at least know there's some kind of strategy, some kind of framework you can base your actions on. But don't think this is a magic wand. If you apply everything we talked about tonight, all of a sudden, for sure you're going to be VPs. So I want to put this disclaimer out there. It's not good. This is not money back guarantee. For Charlie as well, it's not something elite coaching can guarantee you're going to get to VP if you attend our classes. These are the principles or insights you can use in your daily life to formulate your strategy, how to deal with a certain situation, how to develop your strategy to advance your career. But it's not a copycat approach, okay? Just wanted to make sure we're all clear. Okay, I wanted to start by really make a case. There is such a thing about bamboo ceiling. As you know, glass ceiling usually is termed as originally woman in the corporate world cannot get above a certain level. So that's the glass ceiling. So that's why a lady back maybe in 2000s has created this term bamboo ceiling to describe the hurdles Asians face in corporate world that make them cannot go above a certain level, or in other words, make them feel they stuck. Stuck means they can no longer progress further. So that's the bamboo ceiling. And there's still controversies out there. Not everybody agree there is a bamboo ceiling, just so you know. But I wanted to show you some data. Everybody can formulate your own opinion whether there is a bamboo ceiling. So this is actually the data from Catalyst, I believe. It's talked about the CEO diversity trend in Fortune 500 companies. So just to set the stage, US population is 6% Asian. And if you come to professional rank, that means not the McDonald's cashiers or janitors, professional rank, actually Asian is 13%, twice as our general population. So it just means we are overrepresented, if you will, in the professional rank. That is because most Asians really put a lot of emphasis on education, and that's where most of the educated populations go. And if you come to what high-tech industry, which is like Google's, Microsoft's, or what you mean, Airbnbs, all these startup companies or Silicon Valley high techs, Asians constitutes 40% of their workforce. That's a lot. That is a lot. Then that's the baseline. This is when they enter the workforce and the workforce as a whole. But you would think when you go, if everything works right, as you go up in the ladder, you should have similar representations, percentage-wise. Maybe a little different, but not by much. But now here's the data, right? So you can see from 2000 to 2020, 20 years in Fortune 500 companies, women made a significant improvement in their representations into the CEO role. You can see that's the blue line on top. That's a woman. Latino made very respectable inroads as well. Asian at the early years had a little bit, and then gone flat, where still represents about 1.5% of all the CEOs in Fortune 500 companies. I will venture to say more than half of those are Indians. So if you take the Indians out of it, the rest of the Asians has even lower representations, right? I mean, I think I don't have the data to back me up, but just by my personal experience, how many Indian CEOs I met in my life, I think Indians, probably 50% of these Asian CEOs are Indians. So to me, we're not adequately represented in the upper end of the corporate ladder. Now, once it gets into the board, I'm a board member. I belong to that very small sliver of the aging board members here, 3% or whatever. Yeah, we have the same story. We only have less than 4% board representations. Actually, 2/3 of Fortune 1000 company doesn't even have a single Asian board member. Well, you would say, well, it's not bad. It's better than CEOs. Well, so a lot of these are because some of these companies are small companies, a lot of startups. And a lot of startups are actually Asian startups. So they are on the board of their startup companies. So the picture is not quite telling all the story. I think if you talk about really big multinational public traded company boards, I think Asians are only about 1% represent on the board. So certainly some things prevent us to reach that top end of the corporate ladder. So this is just one more picture. I will stop right here after this. If you look at the white and how much or the percentage of they present in the professional area and how many executives are, whites are overrepresented in executive rank, right? And you can see Asians. Asians, if you take the ratio, we're worse than blacks in terms of the ratio of, the executives versus workforce total. So certainly there is a problem statement here, right? We're looking at the data. We just say this is strange, right? At least you would say this is strange. Why we're not adequately represented at the high end of the career ladder. This is just one more this just says, I don't have to read the whole thing. It doesn't matter in what field, the picture is the same. You can talk about the tech is the same in federal government. Many of you may work in federal government. It's the same in law, it's the same in bank, it's the same. So basically the data is consistent that Asians are not making progress. I don't think it's for lack of ambition. And I also don't think it's for lack of ability, okay? Or opportunity for that matter. So what's wrong, right? You're going to say, what's wrong? So let's start learning some of the rules of the game, this corporate American game, how they play. So in corporate American, they have unwritten rules. These unwritten rules are what constitutes a leader, how do you act like a leader. So there's a certain criteria when you act, they can say, oh, that's a leader. How do you talk like a leader? How do you think like a leader? And most ambiguous, how do you look like a leader? Okay, I think in terms of the level of difficulties, it just increases, right? Act like a leader can be trained. You can take a lot of leadership training to tell your do's and don'ts. And for that, I think it's manageable. Now, how to talk like a leader is specifically very challenging for us who don't speak English as a second language. I will talk about communication in a minute, a little more detail. But I don't think it's some language. It's a language also indicates how people think. And it's the way we think about things are very different. I don't think they're good or bad. It's just very different. But because we're different, we don't fit the mold of what the corporate American think a leader should be talked like. Then we were disadvantaged. And then the last thing is, what looks like a leader? Who looks like a leader? We certainly don't look like a majority of the people in corporate American, right? I'm very often the only woman, the only Asian in the room. And then now in the boardroom, I'm the only scientist. there's no scientists in boardroom. They're all financial people, they're lawyers, they're CEOs. Scientists is odd. So how do you deal with you're the unicorn in the room, right? So there's rules on each one of these. If you don't know the rules, then you can try as much as you can. You're hardworking, you deliver results, and then you look, the other people just keep going up, and you don't understand why. And the only thing you can think of is discrimination. And could be sometimes, but in a lot of times, that doesn't explain why this is happening to us. So we have to understand these unwritten rules are based on the Western cultural norms. We're living in US, or maybe in Europe too. I worked for a German company for 16 years. And these cultures they have their norms. What is right, what is not right. And that's totally from what we think, okay? So for example, Asian society is highly collective. But Western culture is highly individualized. Highly individualized. So we often trying to figure out how we place ourselves in a large total society, roasting. Everybody is a little roasting to fit in where that's where you're told you're going to go there. That's where you're going to be. American or US or Western doesn't have this concept. Individuals is all for themselves. Nobody told them what to do. And they're not going to do what you told them to do anyway. So the individualism is completely ingrained in their cultural norm. And I will come to why that's not good for us. Secondly, they have very loose hierarchies. Asian societies are extremely hierarchical, okay? We're very respect to our elders, our boss, our authorities. But in Western society, the hierarchies are very loose. Yeah, there is hierarchies in company, but it's totally different. They don't worship their authorities or bosses or whatever. It's more like peers, even though they may have reporting structures. So unless you learn how to play those games, it's also not good for us. Now, in Western society, the single most important factor for success or to get people to respect you or trust you is actually confidence, is not competency. That is one of the largest learning for me. Because we grew up in a society, if you study, has the best grade, if you go to the best school, if you have the best engineering on the block, you deliver the best code, and you think that is your badge of honor. Which is a badge of honor, but actually in the leadership track, confidence, not competency, is the key. So you often hear Asian employees says, my boss doesn't know anything. Why would he be my boss? Look how smart I am. I know all the words, all the codes, all the ins and outs. And now he's my boss, and they feel very unfair. Well, he's your boss because his confidence got him there, not his competency. You're still much better than him in competency, but that doesn't necessarily make you a right to be his boss, right? So that's a understanding we have to learn. We have to grow onto it, how to deal with that, right? And this is also a very, very important aspect. The Eastern-Western communication style is completely different. And the Western style is what we call the low context style. It's clear, it's concise, it's direct. And the Eastern communication style often is convoluted. We will talk about 3 pages why until we get to end, therefore. And in US or in Western communication, the first sentence is therefore. And then you go lay out the reasons why therefore. So we're totally backwards in terms of communication. So why that's a problem? Well, the corporate American define a leader's communication competency is how clear he or she is, or they are, how concise, how direct, not how convoluted. Too much details, too many layers of onions, you lose people halfway through. They would not wait until you get to your conclusion. So that's something culturally is 180 degrees from what we grew up with. So we're going to talk about how to deal with that as well. So before I go into all the details or tricks, if you will, I wanted to talk about one of the very large elephant in the room, which is what is leadership. What exactly is leadership? I think everybody, if you're not aspired to be a leader, you wouldn't be here on Sunday evening. But aspire to be a leader, but a leader is defined in corporate America is different than what we think a leader should be when we grow up. Especially when I grew up and watched Mao Zedong, that's not the type. Okay, so here is one of the founding presidents in American. And he talked about a leader. If your action inspire others to dream more, to learn more, to do more, become more, you are a leader. This is all about others. If leader can make others better, then you are a leader. There's nothing to do with me. So a lot of us say, well, I grew up, I want to be a leader. I have no idea what does that mean, right? So the leader need to inspire others. That's one. And this is more contemporary, right? Sheryl Sandberg used to be the CTO of Facebook. I don't know where she is right now. Same thing. She said the leadership is about making others better as a result of your presence. And also make sure that impact lasts when you're not there anymore, which she's not at the Facebook anymore, right? So that's how either a more historical perspective on leadership or more contemporary one in Western culture. So this is another quote, says leadership is action, not a position. We all says, well, I don't have any direct report. How can I be a leader when I don't have direct reports? Or you don't need direct reports to be a leader. As a matter of fact, in corporate America, you have to show you're a leader first before they give you a direct report. So you think that's kind of backwards. So the leaders, the most distinction I want to make is the leaders are not boss in Chinese sense. I have seen enough Chinese boss. I mean, it really bugs my mind how different it is. So here are some of the differences of leaders and the boss. And you can all read. I'm not going to read everything. But I wanted to point out some differences. On the boss side, you play power and control. I'm the boss. You have to listen to me. Know why, know what, know what if, okay? And you really uses people. And the most important thing is when things go right, the boss takes the credit. When things go wrong, the boss blames people. I mean, you can probably all give me some examples, boss like that. That's boss. So when you think about your supervisor, if they behave like that, you work for a boss. You don't work for a leader. So the leaders is play on inspiration and influences. They motivate people. And that's how I usually tell my team, you should go ahead as bold as you can. And if it's successful, you take the credit. If anything goes wrong, I'll take the blame. So that's sort of, and so the boss makes the team tick based on authority because I'm boss. You have to do what I do. And often they don't even listen to your idea. But the leader makes team work based on all the goodwill. Goodwill means people just wanted to work for this leader for whatever reason, okay? So very different type of the style, okay? So just keep in mind. So in my, in US corporate, you have managers. And we all know managers are not necessarily leaders. Some leaders are not managers, so that they are also not equivalent. But I think the manager and the leader has more overlap. Boss and the leader's difference is completely style. And managing and the leader has some similar tasks they want to achieve. But what's most important different, leading versus managing, is somebody who has a vision and a strategy. Managing is only work for that vision and a strategy, not forming the vision and a strategy. And again, you can see the influence and inspiration. Influence, inspiration. And the managing very often has a very framework you can manage within, follow procedures, policies, nothing goes wrong. There are some managers says, if I don't do anything, nothing will go wrong, so they don't do anything. That happens too. And then now the focus of, if you're a leader, you focus on people. If you're a manager, you focus on the work, the task, the project. The thing about you have to realize is if you focus on the people are optimize their potential under you, the project is going to take themselves. These people will do project right. So it's more important to focus on people because the outcome will be your project get done. But if you focus on project, ignore people, you're going to have so much struggle because people ultimately is who finishes those projects. The last thing is by giving directions or giving orders. But a real leader, especially the higher you go, I have learned this. When you get to the C-suite, all you do is ask questions. You never tell people what to do. You just don't. Well, you form your vision, a strategy. That's what your job is. Say, this is where we're going. But the rest of the time, I've gone through so many reviews, executive reviews. All our job is ask questions. So we don't give answers because we want our people come up with answers. Our job is to ask questions, make sure they don't miss anything. Or there are things they never thought of, the options they never evaluated. So that is executive's job. So learn how to ask good questions. That's a key skill of leader. Okay, this is just example. My last job, as you know, is PPG. This is actually in PPG. I think Chin's still here. Someone from PPG will keep me honest. You can see this on the walls. These are the posters on the walls called the PPG Way to Lead. And I think it's a good example what companies like PPG, which is an $18 billion company, global company, look in their leader. So they look in their leader, the attributes is on the left-hand side, and the behaviors is on the right-hand side. So you can read, I mean, I already covered a lot of these, but I wanted to point out for Asian background employees, there are certain areas that are difficult for us. Not impossible, okay, nothing is impossible, difficult. How do we empower others? This is to make other people better. So a lot of times I see some employees, they are the expert of X in the area, and they want to keep all the knowledge, all the experience to them because they think that's job security. If I teach other people to do what I do, one day I'll be replaced. I lose my job. That is so yesterday. So today's world, first of all, it's very rare. You're going to have such a secret knowledge all by yourself. Never, nobody else can learn. And if you cannot empower others, you can still do that. You can be an individual contributor all your life. That's fine. You'll be the expert. In PPG's world, they're the fellows, technical fellows. That's fine. But you can be a leader without ability to empower others, to make others better. Right? So this is a difficult for us. We already talked about effective communication. We'll talk more about that a little later. Influence. Influence is without authority, people will do what you ask them to do. And how do you do that? And you can see influence is very important for corporate leaders. They have to have that competency before they can become a leader, right? And the last thing, which I can see because my people is in here, is self-initiate. Is it? Somebody call it out because I cannot see. Is self-initiate? Right? Charlie, is the last one self-initiate?
Yes. Yes. Self-initiate.
Okay. So I even cannot see, but I can guess. So the self-initiate is tough for us. I had experience when I work in Shanghai as an expat for Bayer. I hired at the time master and PhDs from Fudan, from Zhejiang University. They're really good, very smart people, right? But one thing I didn't notice in these young people was that they're lacking initiative. You will give them something to do. They will do it beautifully. And then they stop after they've done that. They will never take another step to go further. And then they will go, I don't know, surfing the internet, whatever. And then sometimes I ask them, I'm like, do you know, what do you think the next step will be? They will tell me, which is beautiful next step. So I ask them, why you didn't take the next step? Well, you didn't tell me to take the next step. Well, you shouldn't need to be told to take the next step. So the self-initiation is very, very important. But because our education system, we're not very often to be asked to self-initiate, right? So we just don't have that muscle. But that can be learned. Don't despair, okay? It's not something that is so difficult. You just have to be conscientious and you have to learn. Okay. So we covered some of the gaps, but the reason a lot of us have come to US a long time. Nobody come probably as long as I have. Next year will be my 40 years in US. But it doesn't matter how many years we're here. This is Joy Chang. I don't know if you know Joy. She's the deputy mayor of Los Angeles at one time. Fabulous lady. She said, compared to other immigrants from East Europe, even from India, from Philippines, whatever. Well, Asian Americans are very unique. We are Americans for sure, but we remain very, very Asian for generations. In other words, the way we think, the value system we hold dear, the mindset, we still very Asian. Doesn't matter how many years we live here. Now that impacts how we show up at work. That impacts how we deal with all different relationships at work. So that's why we often feel we are marginalized. That's the word. We're not in the center. Actually, there was a Pew Research study says 40% of Asian male employees doesn't feel they belong where they work, which is terrible. 40%. Females are slightly better. Female Asians, 21% doesn't feel they belong to their workplace. They feel like an outsider, which is terrible, right? You spend so many hours in your workplace. You don't want to feel that's your outsider. So I want to go through some of the cultural sort of value systems that we grew up with that either consciously or unconsciously influences the way we view the world and influences the way we deal with the world, okay? So first of all, I talked about how individualistic the Western culture is. And another result of individualistic society is they don't really respect authorities that much. You will see today in US, they don't, right? They don't respect it. They can say bad things about president or whatever. Everything's okay. But we grew up in a society, we respect authorities. So we really deference to hierarchies. So sometimes we feel so stuck because a bad boss, because we don't know how to get out, because we don't have the muscle to break through and get stuck by hierarchy, right? So that's one of our struggle. And Now, the collective culture is often not something they teach you how to self-advocate, how to sell yourself. And we actually look down on people who sell themselves, right? We often say, those Americans doesn't do anything, doesn't know anything. Look, they can talk a lot. Well, that's a skill. It's not a bug. It's a feature. But we think, that's not good. Well, that's what it takes. Able to self-advocate, that's one way. Boss mentality, we talked about it. It's hard to know how to empower others. We often are the doers. We are very diligent. We do everything. Almost a lot of times we're professionals. But we lack big picture. We don't see big picture. Why we do this project? What is this code do? Who does this impact? If I don't do this right, what was the problem? You have to think of all these big pictures, because unless you know that, you don't know the value you bring to the table. You just say, I'm the best coder in the room. That's not a value statement. You have to say, because I know how to code this, I made $250 million last quarter for the company. That's the value you need to understand. But you have to understand big picture to be able to establish your value, right? And yeah, so this is not just Chinese. Asians are often very Confucius teaching, I guess, risk avert, because we're conservative. We play safe, right? That's why all Asian, even second generation, goes to the law, the medicine, the financial. Nobody goes to be a political American president. It's because we play safe. Our parents want us just to have a job first, okay? Forget about dreams, forget about the visions, forget about being United States president. Just get me a job, get a paycheck, because we are so play safe. That's our culture. And when we have so few congressmen, Chinese one, it's really kind of strange, right? There's more Japanese congressmen than Chinese ones. Agility to change, to adapt is a must. So whenever you learn in school, whenever you're expert of, chances are at one point, you have to change. You have to go to a different field, adjacent field. So we're not talking about a talent has to be a T-shaped. Most of us are I-shaped, one-leg stool. I'm the only inorganic chemist in the room. It's very narrow, right? And you're the only Python expert. I don't know, Charlie is the only SAP expert. Those good. You need to have one in-depth knowledge, but you need to broaden your scopes, horizons. You need to know different things, because one day a company can just say, well, guess what? We don't do that anymore. We cut that whole department. If that's the only thing you do, of course you're going to be cut. But if you know multiple things, you can pivot. You can say, no problem. I don't do R&D anymore. I'll go to project management. I'll go to supply chain. I have ways to add value. That's why you needed to have that agility, ability to change. And we talked about communication until we want to face, so we can skip it that way. We're going to talk about confidence. One thing about confidence, I think I don't think we lack confidence, because if you really talk to our friend among ourselves, we feel pretty good about ourselves, don't we? So, but the reason that when it comes to big picture, again, we're lack of confidence. It was a learning for me talking to a whole group of CMU computer science graduates, undergraduate students. CMU computer science major undergraduate for Chinese male student is the hardest to get into. I think they're worse than winning Nobel Prize. But I was talking to a group of students already got into CMU, Carnegie Mellon University's computer science program major, but I found them lack confidence. Almost all of them. They don't feel they're good enough, that they can make a very successful long career. And that really baffles me. I'm like, why? You're the best of the best. And then after some discussion, I realized the way our parents raise us with all good intentions, don't get me wrong. Actually, it was detrimental to our confidence because they always felt that their parents tell them they're never good enough. They're not as good as the neighbors' kids who went to Harvard. They got a 96, not a 100. You know, the guy across the street got 100. So it doesn't matter. They're already really excellent students, but when they grow up, they constantly feel they're not good enough. So the confidence has been compromised. And then when they get into the corporate world, the confidence doesn't just magically come back. So you have to build back up very over a period of time. So I think sometimes our way to either for professionals or we think we want to encourage them to be better, backfired on us, okay? So you sometimes think we talk about our American parents are ridiculous. They always pat their kids on their shoulders, say everything's a good job, even they lost the game, they get a trophy. That's how they win confidence game. That's the difference, you see? So anyway, let's see how I'm doing in time, Charlie. Almost.
Oh, yeah, 50 minutes. You still have time. Just
okay,
yeah.
I'll be finished in about 5 minutes. Okay, and then we can get on your portion. So good. Here, there's a lot on the slides that we're not going to go into deep in all this. So here's what I want to say. Charlie, I really admire you and the team did a great job. So the elite coaching, the 讲武堂, is trying to put together a curriculum to be able to offer courses in each and every one of these areas. These areas are extremely helpful. You can pick and choose. Some of them you're already expert. Maybe you can teach here. But some of them you certainly have gaps. You can learn from the expert. So from language point of view, we have courses on how to be very influential, how to tell a story. The ability to tell a story, if I pick one thing, you have to be able to tell a story. Our technical people takes department seminar slides, comes with 15 different charts and flow charts and graphics. You bury people completely. What you need to know is who are your audience. If you're talking to a CEO, you only need 5 bullet points. That's all he needed to know. He's not going to listen to your data, your curves, your whatever, but he likes to hear a story. What is a story? A story has a beginning and an end. A story has a hero and a bad guy. Okay, hero is you. Bad guy is whether difficulty, challenge, don't make your colleague a bad guy. Not your boss, of course. And then you have the journey goes through the peaks, the values. Where is you triumphant? Why only you can do that? And you have to make it into a story, just like a kid's. And this is the skill I encourage everybody to learn. Okay, so I'm just going to say that much about communication, and we can spend another time talk about humor. Humor is a lifesaver. Oh my gosh, so many board presentations I've done, I use humor to get me out of the jam. So we can talk about how to use humor and watch comedy. If you don't, I encourage you to watch comedy. It's really good. In terms of culture, we also gone through a lot of them. We can go into detail in our courses, okay? The one thing I wanted to mention, I haven't mentioned, is learn and respect other culture. Because Chinese are very sticky culture, don't you think? We got to a place, we found the rest of Chinese co-workers, friends. We have parties with Chinese friends. We eat Chinese food. We listen to Chinese music. We watch Chinese shows. You can live in US all you want for how many years? If that's all you do, when you're a leader, there's 24 countries represented on my team in CIC, Chinos. I mean, you can't just be a Chinese. You have to learn what they like, what sports they play, what food they. You have to learn these other cultures. You have to respect all the other cultures because we are asked to lead inclusively. We don't just have Chinese on our teams. So that's something you can do now, right? have a party with your neighbor who's from Georgia or Slovenia, I don't know what it is, and really trying to learn and respect other cultures. Prepare yourself to be able to lead a team with very different background. I will say a word about connection. And many my friends says Chinese is really good at this. 中国人很好，搞关系很好。Actually, that's not what the network is in American. It's not the 关系。The networking in American has 3 different types. The one is mentor and a coach. These are the people who gone before you and has willingness, ability to teach you how to get from point A to point B. The second kind is called allies. Allies may not be mentors, they might be your peers, some of them may be even your subordinates. Allies are the people, they really understand you, understand your cultural background, understand who you are, and when you need support, when you're in a bind, when you have a conflict with a boss, you will have allies cover your back. These are the allies, okay? And the last one is really important is what I call the advocate. Advocate may not be the mentor, may not be the ally, but that was one person who can speak for you in the situations. Usually this is a senior person that when they want to pick a special assignment, when they decide who to lay off, who to keep, you need an advocate to speak for you. They know your value. They know your ambition. They know how you add value to the company. They can speak in for you. So these are your networks. Now you don't get this network by starting off, say, let me see who's useful for me. I'm going to go reach out. That's the old Chinese way of getting 关系. You start by saying, how do I add value to others? Because network is like a bank. If you add value to others, you put the money in deposit. And then later on you need them, of course, you will take money out of the bank, but you have to build balance. So you need to make sure you think about starting from how you add value to your boss, to your peers, to next door neighbors, whatever. But also think about using very unconventional ways. I often say the best networking event in a company is go volunteer for United Way. I have seen very few Asian employees coming out to do things they think has nothing to do with that job. Volunteer for ERM, volunteer for United Way. Guess what? This is where you can meet a lot of senior managers. And you often say, I don't ever see CEO. Charlie said, well, we don't see senior management. Go to volunteer with them in the community. So that's something we often miss, okay? And then we can talk about confidence, why we need to build confidence. The only way to build confidence, in my opinion, is first you have to know yourself. Know who you are, what's your strengths, and also what's your weakness. I used to ask some of my people, what's their weakness? They cannot come up with the answer. That really worries me. And then you don't want to be somebody you're not. You need to be authentic. You're sure I'm who I am, but just because I'm who I am, I add value. So I often say to people, why I feel comfortable as the only woman in the room? Because all the other men think the same. I'm the only woman can bring in a different perspective. That's how I add value. So I'm very glad I'm the only woman. I will hope to have more women, of course. So you be yourself, okay? Don't try to be somebody you're not, but then continue to learn, to improve, to get better at things that help you better yourself. And you're listening today, that's part of the bettering yourself. So I'm really glad you're here. And these are the power skills you need anyway, whether you're reaching for C-suites or not. I think the goal is to make yourself feel fulfilled, recognized, appreciated in the workplace, and the life is much better. So with that, I did have one more slide to talk about the unconscious bias. These are our colleagues. They're not Asian, and they're not intentionally discriminating. Let's not just call them discriminating us all the time. But they do have these unconscious bias. Two things I always meet myself. One is, you're Chinese, you have to be good at math. Guess what? I'm not. My best class in school is writing. They were like, oh, never know Chinese is not good at math. And then the second thing is they always say, how can you speak such a good English? I said, just because Chinese don't speak a good English, right? So those are unconscious bias. They are absolutely unconscious bias. So the other more problematic bias is Chinese are often viewed competent but cold. We're not warm. We're not the one hugging people, pat people on the backs. That's our culture, but we can be viewed by people as cold. We're docile, what the word docile, very easy to manage. Docile, the word, very easy to manage. But that means we're the doers. We're not the strategic thinkers because we're so easy to manage. We're followers. We're not leaders. We can't communicate. The last one is very damaging to us. They're like, you're modeling minority. You don't get discriminated. You're well off. You're well educated. You make a lot of money, so nobody needs to help you. You're already well off. So these are very dangerous biases. And we can talk about in the future how we can have a strategy to counter these bias. I'll just mention one. The only way to counter this bias is have a lot of non-Chinese friends. Invite a lot of people to your house, have dumplings. All my neighbors on my street has been to my house, have dumplings. Because you have to build a relationship. Once you build a relationship, they know you're not this type. Then you definitely eliminate the unconscious bias. That's one of the ways. We can talk about something later. I wanted to keep something so you can come back for class. So with that, I think, Charlie, we can either go to your portion talk about the classes we prepared for them, and then we can do Q&A. It's up to you. Thank you very much anyway.
All right. I would say let's do Q&A. Sharon talked a lot, as different aspects of the career development. And this is the communication network, right? Different way. So Sharon's goal is really want to push and help all junior or middle level or whatever, young people to push to, eventually go to the C-suite, right? Is that right? That's her interest, okay?
I think only if they wanted to. Don't think C-suites. C-suites has a lot of pressure. It's not an easy job.
Yeah,
I would say, I wouldn't just normally go to C-suites, but to go to a place you feel your potential is maximized, right?
Right. Maximize your potential, right? That's our slogan. Maximize your potential, okay? Unlock your potential, okay?
Okay.
So Sharon has a lot of detail, but today only like the 2 hours. Definitely we cannot cover everything, right? So Sharon will have the class open because I will share like our讲武堂's website. You will see, okay? But right now, let's open the session Q&A, okay? Any questions welcome, okay? But raise your hand, open the camera. Any question, okay? Yeah, we just pick, I will call the name and then pick the order, okay? Let's go start, okay? Any question? Shoot. Sharon, maybe your
Oh, there's a question from June.
Yeah. Hey, June.
Hi, Sharon. Thank you for reminding us about the leadership quality, and I really like them. So my question is actually very simple. You've mentioned about the difference between leaders and managers. Unfortunately, I have one of those managers who uses his authority and trying to tell me. And I happen to have a big vision for what I
June, unmute yourself, June.
Oh, so yeah. So my question is, when my boss and my boss both tell me, no, do not present your idea to either to our group or to other groups, should I just ignore them or should I work around them to continue to pursue what I want to pursue? Because I really think the product that I propose has huge potentials for the company.
Sharon, unmute.
Sharon, you are muted.
Sharon, please unmute yourself.
Sorry, forgot. So my answer starts with that's why I want people to have big picture. We all have lots of ideas. We're all convinced our idea add value. And now you're saying, why my boss doesn't see it? Why even my boss's boss doesn't see it? I would say there was one of the two possibilities. One is if your boss or your boss's boss are very insecure themselves, and they feel if they promoted your idea, make them look bad, and they rather crush it, right? But that's a more sort of sinister guess. But more likely is also companies has lots of decision to make, trade-off to make, and based on their main strategy. I mean, I do that all the time in my center. I think Qing can attest to it. There's so many people have great ideas, but I can only give resources to so many projects. And I have to prioritize them based on whether these project aligns with company's main strategy and the company, where do they need the most to grow, to gain business. Your idea could be good, but it may not be the strategic area they want to spend resources now. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean your idea is not good. So we have that kind of discussion all the time with our associates the same way. We said, we didn't see your idea is not good, and they do add value, but I have so many ideas we needed to prioritize. So maybe it's not no, it's just not now. Okay, so maybe that's something what you can do is you can frame the question. Say, well, we have talked about this last time, and I thought about it. Maybe this idea, even though it's good with value, but at this time is not high priority versus those ones truly supports main strategy. I would love to learn those main strategy. Would you help me to understand where ideas or places company really want to spend resources now, so I can think more ideas in that place? But at least you can help me to understand why this idea is not the right time. So you can go back with a very formulated question, and you can learn more. You can learn the big picture, because depending on your boss, some boss is very good at tell you why. Some boss just don't. It's like, no why, because I'm the boss. That's the terrible kind, but you do have those. So you needed to formulate the question to say, help me to understand. I will totally agree, no problem, but I wanted to learn. And I don't think any boss can say no.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yep.
Great. Jefferson.
Hello.
Hi.
Let me try and fix my camera here.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, never mind.
You look like I have an eclipse.
An eclipse. I'll just start with my question then, since I can't get it working.
Okay.
But what would you suggest to someone who is just, entering the workforce as someone who's in college?
Mm-hmm.
What would you suggest for them to do when first entering the workplace in order to both improve as in terms of leadership, and also just like in general, and inability to communicate with others and have that team play as well?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say the first thing is to learn the rules of the game, okay? To be observant, to be inquisitive, to really ask a lot of questions, but don't try to exert a lot of opinions. Just learn, okay? Just learn how this place is running, right? Who does what, who makes decisions, or who is influencers, who are the people who everybody goes to. So just learn the rules. That's very important. It will take you a little bit to learn the rules in a new company or a new place. And you don't learn those in graduate school, okay? And the second thing, for anybody going to workplace between 1 to 3 years, it's the time you build your personal brand. You wanted to use that time to build a personal brand. We have a class by one of the teachers, instructors on how to build your personal brand. This is the very important fundamental foundation that you can get your next assignment. So you wanted to make sure you build the brand you want people to know. Are you a team player or are you a lone warrior? Are you easy to deal with? Are you difficult to deal with? Are you a stickler for really tiny things, or are you generous and tolerant? Are you a good communicator? Are you just very introverted? So you have to build a brand, but the most important brand has to be, can you deliver results? Number one, don't just talk, you can deliver. Number two, are you flexible? Can you adapt? Are you agile? Those are the two very important things for a new person to show. And so spend some time building your own brand and you will go very far. There are some people who are so impatient. It comes in, the first day says, I want to be a leader. That's my goal. I'm like, okay, well, that's good. But you have to show me first why you can be a leader, right? So, yeah, so I think lay some foundations and learn the place. And before you make your big move is a very astute strategy.
Thank you. I very much appreciate the presentation you gave today. A lot of really good insights. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much for that feedback.
Jefferson, I would suggest you next time when you register with Sharon's courses, you make some notes, okay, make sure. Otherwise, you may be, listen to the right ear, then move to the other ear. You know what I'm saying? So, and practice, okay? To be honest with you, because I've been, in a career development for over 20 years, okay, a long time. I'm an old worker, but I'm still learning. Today what she say, oh, I say, yeah, that's right. So I make notes, okay. That's how in the most recent years, I made progress, okay. So that's how I highly suggest, okay, make notes for sure, okay. Next time, if you register our coaches courses, make notes and take action. Okay, that's my suggestion. All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Mimi.
Hey, Charlie. Hey.
Hey.
Yes. So hi, Sharon. Thank you so much for sharing this really valuable insightful the experience with us. I have a question. I'm being promoted as manager recently, and being leading for the last year and a half. I found one thing that I have been struggling a little bit is to, especially to the point that you just mentioned, is that when you, as a leader, you wanted to focus on people, developing people, rather than focusing on the project or the tasks. But what I found is that a lot of the business, right, all the business are component of all different priorities, projects. So a lot of time I have been trying to de-escalate or focusing on some high impact projects. Then sometimes I find a little bit struggle in focusing more on developing people. So I wanted to ask for your advice. What do you think I can do or switch that? Because sometimes after you finish all these important meetings as
Yeah,
a leader. I
you
have so
finish
many
your
meetings
project
during the day.
review meeting. You have
Yeah.
no time to build people.
Exactly. So I felt like once I finished all the priority projects, attending all different meetings, I really have almost like no time left for meeting, you know, building the meaningful coaching section, etc. So, you know, I wonder if you have any advice for me. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a common problem, maybe, for all the new supervisors. They feel like they are buried in the meetings all day long, and then the easiest thing to forget is to develop people. But here's maybe two practical advice. One is you have to really look at, do you really need to be in all those meetings? Are there some of the meetings you can delegate? And a lot of times we don't feel comfortable, like, oh, if I'm not there. But so delegate do two things. One is lift some of your burden, but also that's how you develop your people. If your people are ever never put in a situation they're pushing the envelope, how do they grow, right? So what you can do is say, I'm going to delegate this meeting to you. It's in your area. First time I attend with you, and you watch how I deal with all these issues. Second time, I still attend, but you deal with, I watch. And then I will let you fly solo. But you can come back to me anytime when you need backup, right? So that's one way. The other way is really by being intentional. I'm trying to be highly theoretical, but that's really the only thing is I do blog out a certain hours of the week. I only meet with people, talk about their career goals, talk about their problems. If I don't carve out, I will be buried by meetings 24/7. That's for sure. And I also very comfortable by not answer every emails. So in my inbox, there's on average 3,000 emails I haven't seen. And well, I have my priority list, right? Good emails, I will always see my CEOs. But, you know, there are a lot of emails you're just being copied on because people are afraid you might be interested. But they really don't need any action from you, don't need any input from you. So you will learn, and like again, for your emails, you don't have to read every single one of them. You can file them. And then also you have to let people know, if I didn't answer your email, you can always come to me personally, talk to me. And I think that way you have safety valve. You don't miss anything. So you needed to somehow intentionally build that space in as a leader to develop your people. And I think by far that's the most important thing a leader can do.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks, Mimi. Okay. Next one is Qing.
Hi, Sharon.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm
I
doing.
hope you validate everything I say about PPG. She is a PPG.
Yeah, I really enjoy your talk. It's really inspiring, and I really appreciate your time, like to fosterize our community. I do have a question, like how to build your vision and strategy as a leader.
Yeah, so it's not something you dream up. Let's put it that way, right? How to build a vision, vision is harder than strategy, because once you have a vision, strategy is about how to get that accomplished. So to build a vision, you have to understand the reason you exist, right? Why this company exists, why this department exists, why this team exists or this project, and why I exist in this team. And that's how you build a vision to say, okay, once we understand the why, the reason we exist, we know what we're here to do, right? Then the vision, which is in the future, is a goal we're marching towards, become tangible, right? So that's why these are very hard, just because when we grow up, we almost never have been asked those questions. So think about, you always say, go take, get 100 points on your math. You don't say why. Oh, because you need to go to a good school. Then you keep asking why you need to go to a good school, right? And so, but we don't train our kids to ask those whys. Often parents get so annoyed, says there's no why. That's why. But we have to learn in the career path is to ask those big picture questions. That's what informs your vision. But also your vision is not independent from the vision of the company or from the team you work with, right? But that's also why it's very important to understand that big why picture, right? Why PPG want organic growth, which I'm not telling you anything secret. It's said to the stock market. And then how to get the organic growth is the strategy. So I'm not sure there is a sort of clear check the box answer to your question, but I think the real way to get to the vision is to try to understand the big picture.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you need to ask a very serious question in those town halls that Tim Knavish, our CEO, holds.
All right. Thanks, Qin. Okay, Harry. Harry, you're mute.
Okay. Can you see me? Let me get my camera.
Yeah, we can see you.
Okay. Hi. I'll type out my question, but Charlie want me to ask anyway. In one of the points you mentioned is to empower people, right? My question is, how different it is to motivate people. I have a group of people reporting to me, like 9. I find that motivating, that is a big task. Spending time. Some people just not motivated enough. Is that same thing when you said empower people as one of the key attributes of a leader?
I think motivating people is a part of empower people, and it's the first step. If they don't have the motivation, doesn't matter how you want to empower them, they will not be empowered. You know what I mean? So you needed to motivate them first, for sure. But I think the empower is not just motivate. Empower means now they're motivated. Then you have to think about what do they need? Do they have skills they need to develop? They need to have experience. You need to assign them to different things. What is their strengths and weaknesses? How do you use their strengths for the assignment? They will be maximize their potential. And the last empowerment is the example I gave to you. Everybody is afraid if I get too aggressive, take too much risk, it's going to come back haunt me. The empowerment, the best you can say to them, say, no, you take the risk with my blessing. If you succeed, it's all your credit. If it's a failure, it's my problem. Don't worry. And that's empowerment. But it's 1, 2, 3. You can see motivation is the first one. You do need to motivate them. The way you motivate them is to really, again, help them to see how they fit in the bigger picture. And they don't feel like I just write 3,000 lines of codes. That's it. And you needed to tell them what their product do. How does that impact everybody on the value chain all the way to the end user, right? And most people get really motivated by see their work actually impacts society. But it does take some communication to link them up. And then once they're motivated, it's our leaders' job to make sure they have the tool, skills to do the job, and they have the courage. We haven't gone there. Another very big thing today, ask a leader, is you have to have courage to take some risk. And those are how you empower them. But you empower them by delegate, by let them take a risk, by listen to them, really listen to their ideas. I don't know how many Asian employees feel their boss never listened to them. So those are all part of empowerment. Even sometimes when you listen to them, like the first lady said, you may not be able to take that idea to do anything. But at least first step, listen to them. And if you cannot do anything, I'll tell them why. Right? Because we're all very intelligent. We'll understand. So those are all the empowerment tools. Hopefully, I don't know if it's helpful. You're probably doing all that already.
Yeah, doing some. Thank you very much. It's well explained. Thank you.
Okay.
Hey,
Okay.
Sharon. after Harry's question, Amy has a question. He say, what is difference between empowerment and enablement for the team? Can you help answer this question? See the notes in the chat box.
Yeah. Well, Charlie, my suggestion is can we collect it for those who haven't got chance, put your notes in the chat. I will make sure I send out the answers. And I want Charlie have the rest of the couple minutes to talk about our website and our classes. So go ahead and put your question in the chat. Can we have somebody collect it, Charlie? And I'll
sure. Sure, I'll do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to leave some minutes for you to go through the website because we're getting close to the time.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I would say
Thank you very much for your question, by the way.
Thanks, Sharon. It's very hard to, because, daily life, right? It's very hard to get to connect with an executive person. So a lot of executive leaders get together, really try to help our Chinese American. Okay, that's how we built 讲武堂. Okay, let me share a little bit about 讲武堂. This is a video we just created. Okay.
Welcome to John Wutan. Our mission is empowering Chinese American professionals to thrive in American corporate arena by providing tailored training, coaching, and real-world insights led by successful senior corporate executives. Visit the Light Coach 101 to order the courses. Click courses to view all available courses. You can also filter by using the options on the left side of the page. Click on a course to add or remove it from your cart. By clicking on an instructor, you can access detailed information about their background, teaching content, and current student enrollment. Under testimonials, you'll find feedback from past students and summaries of previous lectures. Once you've selected your courses, proceed to the cart to check out. We offer a 10% discount for the purchase of 2 courses and a 20% discount for 3 or more courses. Discounts will be automatically applied. Click Continue to Payment to select your preferred payment method and complete your purchase. Enjoy your courses.
All right. Sharon talk about a lot of aspects of the career development.
优秀品质，拿一张纸，把这些品质写在纸的左边。下面我要加大难度了，为了拥有这位同学今后一生100%。
Okay, I close that. And this is our website. If you are interested, you can take the elitecoach101.com. And we list all of our instructors, okay? And Dr. Zhao is former Fortune 100 company executive. And he built the company, the most large, like a branch office in US, this largest Chinese-based IT company, okay? And Sharon just mentioned build a personal branding, right? And Sophia really good at that. And we can take a look. These are courses. Sophia, I believe the April, she has a course and show us how to build a personal branding. Okay. And and like the May courses, we have COO Charles Liu. And his topic is deal with different interpersonal relationship in a workplace. Okay. And Michelle will talk about how to manage up, which means how to deal with your boss, talk with your boss, get trust. And we just talk about this, right? Personal branding. And this is my courses and how to make you most popular in office. because some people feel like it's very hard to survive in office, but I feel it's pretty easy. Okay, but nice to people, how to communicate people. Yeah, I will talk about that a lot. And if you can take a look, like, you know, the courses, the detail, I will show you very, very detailed. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. How can you do that? And with Sharon's courses, and let's see this. Okay, Sharon's built like executive process, and she will show step by step all the details. Okay, so take a look at this. Okay, and if you are interested, you just register. Okay, we will start, like, you know, we start from May. Okay, and you can check with your availability and check all the courses you want to register. Then that's it. Okay, and we give like a discount, 20% off, 10% off. Okay, here is if you did not let me see, if you did not join our community, you can scan the QR code. Okay, with WeChat. Okay, right now I give like everybody 1 minute. Okay, if you did not do it, and if you are interested, just connect with us with a QR code. Okay, I'll give you 1 minute.
Hey, Charlie, I'm going to add one comment on executive presence.
Okay, sure.
There was a Harvard Business Review article talked about who should take that course. There are many very detailed descriptions you can see if you fit the bill. That there are 2 things that stand out, if I remember correctly. One is if you never ask any question in any meetings, in any seminars, you need to take that course. The second is if you talk all the time, you need to take that course. Okay, so I thought that was very insightful about who needs that course. I actually have the article. I can send it to you.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And as I say, our courses probably cover all aspects. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, this May and June, we have twice a week. Okay, twice a week. This is a leadership. And she's like a dean of a university, okay, and the leadership in academic and the industry, okay, and COO Charles Liu will talk about how to plan our career change, okay, and Dr. Zhao will talk about unlocking maximum, like, you know, potential, okay, and this is a C-suite class, and Amy will showcase your leadership when not in position. That's definitely today. Sharon mentioned that, right? Okay, you are what's a leader? Okay, what's a manager? What's a boss? Okay, when you are not in a position, how to showcase your leadership? Okay, which means you can move to another step. Okay, and our VP Susan will talk about employee expectations. Okay, and COO Charles Liu will talk about negotiate best offer. Okay, best offer. For instance, a lot of people say, for instance, give example. If you like to make 180, okay, let's talk about money. 180, you get laid off. Now after 2 months, okay, you got a job offer. They offer you $200,000. Are you willing to take this offer? Yes, definitely. But most people don't know. The company still have have the buffer for you to negotiate. Okay, so Charles Liu will showcase, you know, one by one, step by step, how to negotiate. Okay, and Michelle will talk about manage trust with other people, how to make a good relationship, how to cooperate each other. Okay. And as I mentioned, okay, because this course we put different months, right? Because for instance, if you are busy in May, then you can take the course in June, right? Or maybe in July. Okay, this is as I mentioned, this is Sophia we'll talk about the personal branding again. Okay. And July, if you're a manager, how to build your team. Okay. And this is a student will talk about, the effective leaders. And Michelle will talk about the manage down, how to manage your people, report to you. Okay. This is July. And and the student will talk about, well, what's the key, okay, to the career success. Okay. And COO Charles Liu will talk about how to build a fulfilling career. Okay. There's a C-suite, how to move your top level. Okay. This is definitely Amy's courses. I would say, if you don't have too much power, how to showcase your leadership, that definitely you need to take. Well, all the courses are great. Okay. So this is this is Sharon's course. Okay. Executive Princess. I would suggest, like, in any people, if you are already in like the manager position, you need to consider take this course. Okay. And you can move, maybe you can move to director, senior director, VP. Okay. Is that right, Sharon?
Yeah. Well, I don't know you needed to be that high too. But it basically is a communication course. How do you communicate to up and down or all the way around? And how does that project you look? Remember, we talked about we need to talk like a leader, but we also need to look like a leader. So that's the course. Yeah.
Yeah, we built pretty good website. And after you register that, okay, well, anyway, you will get like, 10% off, 20% off, whatever. Okay. So all our coaches, okay, all instructors not live on this, or this morning, live on like this income. Definitely not. Okay. So all the executives are great. Okay. Made tons of money, but we really need to help people. Okay. So I would showcase you a little bit. For instance, if I already registered a course, okay, like today, then you can go to like the course, okay? After that, you will see this this icon, okay? Enter the classroom, okay? Enter the classroom, and you just click this. For instance, today, okay, April 21, 8:30. At that time, you just click it, then start your learning. Okay, it's pretty handy. It's very easy. Okay, so one-stop shop. Okay. You choose the courses, make payment, and you will receive the email, right? And also instantly you can go to the classroom, and on the time, okay, the course start, you just click it, then learning. But I would suggest everybody make sure you make notes, okay? Make sure take action, okay? All right. So, okay, let's resume like Q&A, okay?
I think we are on time, Charlie.
Yes. We have another like 23 minutes. Okay.
Oh, we do? Okay. That's right.
Yeah. Any questions so far?
Well, I typed in some answers in the chat. Yeah, so maybe I can say, because not everybody's watching the chat. Amy had a really good question. Is there one thing we can do to break the bamboo ceiling? And that unfortunately there isn't. So I would say there's one thing I didn't mention is to get engaged actively with some of the networks. I'm part of a leadership network, Asian leadership network called Ascend, ASCEND. And these Ascend is started from Bay Area by some of the big four accounting firms, the Asian direct partners in those firms, and they are the network of all the Asian executives. And then there is a smaller group of the Ascend, is called a Pinnacle. Pinnacle is all the Asian board members. I'm a member of the Pinnacle. So that's just one example. There's a lot of different networks of Asian leaders. So reach out. You can Google them. You can sometimes we haven't had a chance to talk about initiative. You're the only one can take that first step. You can't be waiting for somebody else to approach you. So find them on the LinkedIn, say, hey, I'm interested. I think there is another woman executive network called Chief, I believe. There's so many of them. Sometimes I have the problem to pick and choose. So, but those all have some benefit of networking, find similar people has similar questions or issues, challenges you can share. But they also have education programs. May not be as targeted as us, right? So that's another thing you can do. But I said in my answer, the first thing is look at the behaviors, attributes for leaders from corporate America. Just do a self-assess. Say, I do pretty well in these, but these are the ones I really struggle. And then be mindful how to better yourself in those areas by finding a coach, one-on-one maybe, by finding a course like here. So a lot of these are start from self-reflection. And very often, sometimes we're so focused on go to that next step. But to me, any new step is start from whether I'm good at it. If I'm not good at it, doesn't matter how good that job looks, I'm going to set myself up for failure. So you need to know who you are. That's why the 3 things on my slides. First one is know yourself. And you really need to know what you're good at it. And another discussion I have often had with technical people is whether you go on to technical track or management track. And most people just blindly say, it doesn't matter. I just want to be a manager. Manager is not for everybody, right? You have to have your goals clear in your mind. What is satisfying to you? You don't take on a job, a title for show to other people. You need to get a fulfillment. That starts from reflecting on your values. What's more important to you, right? So that's why I don't have a 灵丹妙药 to give to say how do I break the bamboo ceiling. And another thing is we all needed to work together, raise our voices, speaking up. When you have data like that, we're going to say that's not acceptable, right? We needed to do something to change.
Great. Any question? We're on time, right?
Well, we're on time. Maybe, people are tired. It's a Sunday evening. That's okay.
Right.
We have to go full. And I really appreciate everybody spend this time with me. And, even from your questions, I learned a lot too. And so we can share with each other which committee you watch. There's so many of them. But I think the most important is watching other people, watching your leaders. Every company has a charismatic leader. You have to watch how they behave, how they talk, how they carry along, how they view along, read along. Those are the skills you watch other people do.
Great.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, hopefully, not a question, just hopefully see you in the future classes. Thank you so much. And all the best for your quest for your successful career.
Right. Let me speak a little bit in Chinese. I'm still
go ahead. Feel free.
I'm much comfortable with Chinese language. Okay. 我刚才讲了哈，我们在社区，我们华人社区，不管你住在哪个城市，我们要看见什么同乡会会长什么专业协会会长 ，piece of cake。但是我们要能够遇到 executive level 的高管，我觉得还是比较难。也许你碰到了，人家不愿意跟你讲。讲武堂呢，就我们高管呢聚集在一起，就想在这个事情上呢帮助大家。所以呢，就是说，而且每门课都是经过大家精心设计。从去年的10月份试营业以来， 我们 try 了4个月，效果非常好，而且有好多同学每个月的课他都报名，每个月的课报名，这说明什么呢？说明这个 high quality， 而且我们每一次对每个教官进行这个 survey 打分评估啊，然后我们课后呢，我们有很多讨论啊，所以深受这个应该说是学生的欢迎，所以才有信心把这一个非正式的这么一个机构，现在变成了一个非常正式的机构啊。我是觉得，比如说你找工作，这个因为我们所有人都要找工作，搞不好哪天被 lay off，who knows， 对不对？但是你怎么negotiate salary？你总不能说人家给你18万，你说我不行，我要20万，我要24万，这肯定是没道理的，对不对？但是我们的教官就教你，你怎么跟人家negotiate，然后你压根就不知道后面还有 buffer， 对不对？然后我们教官就告诉你为什么还有 buffer， 然后你可以negotiate从哪几个方面去negotiate，对不对？好，然后你要进入 C-suite， 我们赵教授就讲了，因为这个他当年就是我就不提名字了这个中国最大的企业，他在这里 build 那个 branch office， 所有的高管都是他害的，所以他非常清楚，对吧？到底他非常清楚这个要作为高管具有什么样的素质具有什么样的素质。然后我还是来 share 一下那个 screen 吧这样讲了，可能我们聊一聊。我就说了，就是我们的高管我们所有的高管不是靠这个过日子，不是靠这个吃饭，都是讲个良心话，我在里面呢起了一点点小作用我是把我们的高管就全部约出来，我说你们一定要来帮华人社区，这就是赵教授当年华为在这里建立 office 都是他一手一脚弄出来的然后这 Sophia 老师是 IB Company CEO， 我见到 Sophia 老师，我真的是折服于他的情商，而且他的真诚他有很多经历很多经历，我简直觉得就是说拍手叫好，听了他的讲座，不然我们不敢请他来的，他真的是太棒了。这个是那个曹阳曹阳可能是在美国的是金牌教师，他讲的内容非常广，而每次我都听得津津有味刚才谢仁老师我们就不讲了谢仁老师刚才讲了这个方方面面就我们都得去研究，都得去探索。谢仁老师说了，就是他现在一步一步来教大家他是很希望，特别是希望年轻人我们看看年轻人能不能走进 C-suite。当然了，就是说我们每个人的理想不一样就是说我们躺平也是一种生活方式，未必也是坏的，对不对但是对于有一点 ambitious 的同学呢这个谢仁老师是非常愿意带大家进去的那个我曾经这个是苏然老师苏然老师，我曾经在2021年 build 了一个，无意中就是有一些原因，那么我 build 了一个当时叫 Active 职场群然后大概在1年前，我们有幸请到了苏仁老师来讲课，哇塞，那天真的是掌声雷动，就是苏仁老师一句话，我就把那个群改为叫北美职场群，北美华人职场群。那个群我觉得在美国的是少有的，不是吹牛，真的。我们是收班费，我们有班费管理，里面只讲职场的东西我不敢说24小时，但是 every single day 兄弟姐妹都在互相帮忙。那里面呢，现在的要求是非常严格，能加入的人呢2类，第一个是像苏仁老师这样的职场大牛，第二类呢就是经过我们training的同学经过很多次课training，上次我们说是3个 session 就是9门课training，不然你进来的话跟不上人家节奏，然后你问的问题的话，就说如果你一点都不懂职场的东西，你问的问题就感觉到不合拍所以我就说我们苏仁老师讲的课真的是掌声雷动下一位呢是我们的这个Michelle老师，Michelle老师呢是一个 Senior Director， 他对怎么处理跟老板的关系，然后带好团队然后和平级的同事保持好良好的关系，有效的开展工作，特别有体会特别有体会。 我真的建议你们都关注哈，我们的教师，我们的教官，这都是就说滚打摸爬出来的啊，非常不容易啊，所以才敢在这里上课啊。我们都不是伊隆马斯克，但是我们都有实实在在的东西。这是潘大姐对年轻人是特别关心爱护。潘大姐一直是在第一线，她非常知道我们的就是说比较就是说 junior 比较 young 的那种学生哈，如果要 move on， 怎么在公司相处啊，怎么能拿到 deal 啊，她是非常非常有体会。每次我们同学问她，她会滔滔不绝的给他讲授这个奥妙在哪里，真谛在哪里。这个是 Amy 老师，Amy 老师是我见到的一个是怎么讲呢？说话绝对直来直去，绝对是给你非常就是说 straightforward， 而且非常非常 smart 的这么一个教官啊。他在他们公司那个75000人里面，他都可以得到一个 reward， 你想想他是什么概念？好，非常非常 smart， 真的有好多东西可以向他学。那刚才他的那 topic 我介绍了一下哈，他的 topic 就是什么呢？就是你没有 authority 的时候，你不在 position 的时候，你怎么 showcase 你的 ability？ 这个其实是不容易做的，你又没有 power， 对不对？你在你老板面前，你在同事面前，怎么显示出你的 leadership 等等东西啊？我觉得大家都需要关注啊。这个是我们那个桂平教授，你们一看就知道，其实在我面前他就是个小丫头片子，但是桂平教授是我们美国最年轻的工程学院院士。桂平教授现在已经是一个系的系主任。哎，你以为天上掉馅饼啊，直接来了？不可能的。这就是桂平教授的独到的眼光，他做事的风格，造就了他现在 successful 啊。他的课我觉得大家也都不要错过哈，不要错过。不 anyway 啦，我是觉得自己就选自己觉得比较就是说怎么讲呢？如果要报课的话，你觉得哪方面比较弱一点，你就有针对性的去选哈。当然这是我了 ，Charlie 哈，我呢也没什么很光鲜的东西，我呢就是做了很多公益啊，然后呢我领导了一个团队15年，领导团队现在可能应该是在北美最有名气的一个慈善机构吧。好，我在领导，然后呢我在一个世界级的一个大公司里面，我担任了 Senior Director 啊，但是呢我觉得他们都比我厉害哈。你们要报课先考虑其他的教官啊，其他教官。但是呢，我可以跟大家讲怎么让你在公司里面弄得很 popular 啊，弄得很受欢迎，各个同事关系的很好。我个人以为哈，我们不要拿中国这一套，因为我们是在美国，我们请客送礼没用。我是觉得这样子，就是不要去专门去讨好人家。但是呢，在恰当的地方做恰当的事情，我觉得这个很重要。我的课程里面啊，会分享一些人际关系的实质问题，然后以这个呢来指导你怎么跟人家处好关系，真的把工作有效的开展好有效的开展好。我大概就介绍一下我们各位导师哈，你们这个Elite Coach 101，大家有空自己去 navigate 好。navigate， 我建议呢，我们的这个10个教官都是非常牛的啊，非常牛的，而且我们都上过课，然后每次都是掌声雷动 ，review 非常好，可以这样讲啊。那么我是建议建议大家根据自己的需求来选课，尽快报课哈。下个礼拜的时候，我们还会有一场，我们绝大多数教官呢都会登台亮相哈，绝大多数教官登台亮相，他们会讲一讲自己侧重点，会给大家分享的什么内容，好吧？下个礼拜，然后我估计大家都在群里面，对吧？那么大家就关注这个群，我们会发通知啊。然后这个 website 大家也知道了，我刚才也把我的就是那个微信啊也 share 给大家了啊。愿意 connect 我呢就 connect 啊，愿意直接选课呢，现在就可以选课了。Anyway。我们的选课的 policy 很简单，你选2门就 10% off 啊， 这3门以上就 20% off。Again， 我是说我们所有的教官都不是靠这个过日子的啊，真的是他们就是说讲个良心话哈，我呢这个里面的联络人主要是我了哈，我是里面的一个工作人员把这些教官请出来一起来做这件事非常不容易，都是高管，哪那么空啊，对不对啊？他们百忙之中抽出时间来做这个事情是非常非常不容易啊！我呢是希望大家珍惜好这个时间，珍惜好这个机会。成功实际上是可以借鉴的，而且有时候可以 copy 的。我们讲那么多，实际上就是什么呢？找出一条规律，做该做的事情啊，说该说的话，好吧？我就给大家分享一下这个 website 哈。Hey Sharon, we're on time，对吧？2个小时之内啊。
呀，谢谢大家哈，今天晚上过来，
谢谢，
谢谢哈，谢谢。
OK，
拜拜。
Good night.
Yeah, thanks.
谢谢Charlie organize 这个事情啊。
Thank you.
好，拜拜。
Thank you very much, Sharon and Charlie.
Yeah, okay. Bye bye, everyone.